Tottenham, the team that finished 17th in the league, the team that lost over 20 matches last season, and the team that sacked their manager, who won them their first trophy since 2008 or whenever it was, are after Morgan Gibbs-White. This, even by Ornstein standards, what are you doing, Ornstein? There is no chance in hell that Gibbs-White would choose Spurs, an inferior club.
Wolfie. The
Hello.
European champions are bolstering their muscles. What is going on?
Oh, you're doing the whole
Wolfie?
European champs thing. You're running that line in front of me when I got these.
Well, how long ago was that?
Does history just have an expiry date, or what are we saying?
We're talking about current European champions.
I thought that was PSG.
They're also a European champion as well.
They're a higher level European champion.
Yeah,
we're a European
my
champion.
level. I get that. How are you, boys? You well?
It's good to see you, Wolfie.
I'm brilliant,
Good to see
Wolfie.
you
How are
guys
you,
too.
mate?
Yeah. So what have I missed?
Well,
hasn't your brother called you yet, Wolfie? I'm sure he's let you know.
I actually haven't spoken to my brother yet. I was on another channel as the news was breaking, and by the time that stream finished, it was a here we go. And I was like, when have Spurs ever moved like this in all my time of watching football? I can't think of it apart from deadline days. You know, Harry Redknapp outside the in the car park and what have you. This has just been a whirlwind today, mate. Whirlwind.
It's been crazy. In terms of your immediate reaction to Tottenham triggering the release clause, was there an expectation he was going to be leaving this summer? Has this taken the fan base by complete surprise?
There was a lot of talks about Gibbs-White going to Man City towards the end of the season and the start of the transfer window, and then they ended up going with Cherky and Reinders, etc. The talk then moved on to him signing a new contract and contract talks happening between him and Forest. It's been very quiet since that Man City talk to now about Gibbs-White leaving Forest. The thing that was probably playing on my mind was the fact he had 2 years left. So I'm speculating here, but maybe they couldn't come to an agreement on the contract, or maybe he did want to play the Champions League football. But I don't think Forest could then risk leaving him into his final year this time next summer with Bosmans, etc. on the horizon. What's taken me most by surprise is the release clause. We'd never got wind of any of that at all in his contract. So that one's caught me kind of a bit left field. But yeah, the general reaction is, you know, he was a very important player to us last couple of years. Is he that difference maker for you? I hate to disappoint you. I'm not convinced. He can be a very frustrating player, an excellent player, but a very frustrating player. If you're expecting someone to bag you double figures from the midfield in goals, he's not your guy. He needs to work heavily on his shooting. But his highlights reel always look very, very good. And that's not copium, by the way, boys.
It sounds a bit like it, to be honest. It sounds.
I'll tell you why it's not. Is because he's our version of Bruno Fernandes in terms of he's the linchman, but he can also be very frustrating on the pitch. You know, 70% of what he tries doesn't come off, but the 30% that does is pivotal. You know, it's kind of. I mean, I'm making up the percentages, but you get my point.
He's got 15 goal contributions last season, 15 the year before, 12 the year before. I mean, that is a significant amount of goal contributions in a Forest side. I know you did very well last year, but, you know, don't mean to be rude, but the last couple of years you hadn't done too well.
They don't score many goals,
to put it bluntly. And yeah, you know,
finishing 17th ain't a nice position, is it?
No, it's not exactly. Yeah. And I know you can feel my pain. I'm sure you can feel my pain.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, is there not sense to say that at Tottenham he can take his game to a higher level and, you know, much improve that goal output or that contribution output?
I think for me personally, for Gibbs-White to kick on to his true potential, I don't think he has reached his true potential. I personally would like to see him play more as an 8. Because I don't think his finishing is good enough. But what he has, better than most players I see in the Premier League, is his work rates. His work rates are phenomenal. He'll get up and down that pitch. The same, energy he puts minute one, he's still putting minute 90. Fitness wise, he's very good. His passing is, yes, it's a bit too flamboyant, but a lot of Forest fans would probably agree with me when I say if he just simplified his game a bit more, he would be even better. He doesn't need to go for the Trivela outside the boot pass every other pass. Just play the simple 5 yard pass, etc. And him inside the middle of that midfield, I think he can almost pull the strings in a midfield a lot better than where he is higher up the pitch. Now, your style is different to ours. Well, on your previous regime, it was. So I think Gibbs-White maybe gets a bit more freedom higher up the pitch in a Spurs team if you are playing a bit of a higher line, depending on what Thomas Frank does. He's got the potential. I think he's looked very good, for example, in the England games when he's been around more quality midfielders, because I think our midfield has been lacking in a bit of quality over the last couple of years. So when you put quality around him, and I know you've just brought Kudos in as an example, he can thrive off that. But where he thrives well is when he's got a playing partner on the pitch. So Brennan Johnson, I know you guys have, your varying opinions on him, but him and Gibbs-White had a phenomenal relationship at Forest in terms of goals and assists between them, and they did drive, and they were the reason we stayed up that season. So that's a relationship that can be rekindled there. I don't know what you're doing with Jono, with Kudos coming in probably on that right hand side, but there is a lot of potential within him, but there is also a lot of frustrations.
Did you feel like, because I was just talking to our friend Brian Daigle on the stream earlier, he's saying
he apologizes to you.
He does apologize to you, but he was saying, could he be more of an 8? Do you think for Tottenham? Do you feel like his best position is definitely a 10, or do you think maybe he could thrive more of an 8 position?
I would play him in the 8. I would 100% play him in the 8, because I think what you could do is potentially play him in the 8, put Maddison in the 10, depending on obviously on the formation you've got. His work rates will free Maddison up to be more creative in that final third, because Gibbs-White will happily do, the hard graft as well. And then, like I said, he'll find those link-up plays. Him and Maddison could find themselves having good chemistry on that pitch. But he'll almost play like the 68 and the 10 all in one game. That's how heavy his work rates are. And he's a trigger point for a lot of our good stuff. Now, I'm not coming on here saying he's a scrub or he's a rubbish player or anything. I'm just saying with his talent and what I expect of him, there is still elements to his game that I need to see improving. And that's why I would like to see him deeper, because I think his biggest weakness is shooting. So if you're almost eliminating that and make him more as the assist or the assist of the assist, or the guy who turns over the play in midfield and then can trigger your attack, I think you will see him revel even stronger if you do that. But it's whether or not he sees himself as a 10 or Thomas Frank sees himself as a 10. My personal opinion in the last few years of watching Gibbs-White is put him a little deeper and he'll be more influential.
Where do you think he fits in this current Tottenham midfield then? Like, is he a nailed-on starter, do you reckon?
There's always a debate, and we've always had it between like the Forest fans and the Leicester fans about Maddison versus Gibbs-White. I have it with my brother, Gibbs-White versus Maddison. I don't know, and I don't think it really matters, to be honest. If you are starting to move in this transfer window like you are, it's not a 1-11 game anymore in football. True. You need a full 25 or 23-man squad. So if you're putting, where he thrives is under pressure and under expectations of himself. Like his pure soul determination over the last 12 months was to get into the England squad. And he worked extremely hard to get that. So if he sets himself a goal that come what may, he wants to become the first name on that team sheet for the midfield, then you will see that level of, motivation from him and expectation from him. So he can do it, but at the same time, you sometimes get him trying too hard. And that's the bit I was talking to you about, where less is more with him. So it depends really. And it depends how you guys, I think, perceive him. Like the way some of the Spurs fans welcomed Jono in, ended up, turning off all his social medias and stuff. Is that the same kind of eye you're looking at this with Morgan Gibbs-White? I don't think you will, because I think he comes with more kind of clout, more street cred than Brennan Johnson did when he came to Spurs. But I would just say make sure you play him in the right position, put the right players around him. And he's done it for the last few years in the Premier League. He doesn't need time to hit the ground. This is a guy who's kind of oven ready, who can go into midfield, who has connections with some of your teammates, some of your players already. But 8 for me would be his right position.
I've actually got a bit of breaking news for you, Wolfie. Nottingham Forest transfer news, if you want to hear it.
Don't tell me we sold Murillo or something.
No, David Ornstein says Nottingham Forest have renewed their pursuit of Johan Wissa. Fresh offer made for Brentford, 28-year-old. Bid falls under £25 million as Nottingham Forest prepared to pay in the January window, and considerably lower than what Brentford's valuation is in excess of £50 million.
Yeah, you guys are after him as well, aren't you?
Yeah, but it sounds like we're funding your move for him.
Yeah, I mean, we've been after him for quite a while. Nuno is a massive fan of Wissa. I think we put a 21 or 25 mil bid in Jan that got rejected. I heard they're trying to value him at around 35 to 40 million, but he hasn't got long left, if I'm not mistaken, on his contract.
Year,
So, yeah, I think Forest... Look, the thing that's annoyed me about this week is we keep getting told, and I've been told, that Forest don't need to sell any players. All players were happy. No one was pushing for a move. Gibbs-White wasn't pushing for a move. Elanga wasn't pushing for a move. And Forest... I probably expected one sale from like our, big name home renowned names. To do 2 in a week means that for us to be appeased as fans, they better start bringing in some stuff the other way that's at least known to the majority of the fan base.
How do you feel about the fee, 60 million? I know it's a release clause, but do you feel Forest have got a good deal there? Spurs have got a good deal. Is that his value, or what do you reckon about that?
It's a bit of a weird one, because when Man City came in for him a couple of months ago, there was no talk about 60 million, and there was talks that Forest were looking to push for 70 plus mil for him. It's what you value players at these days. Like, if I'm looking at it objectively, he's probably a 50 to 60 million pound player. I would have liked, knowing that Forest aren't under any PSR stress this summer, I'd have liked Forest to have got over the odds. So I don't actually think he got a bad price in 60 million. When you're looking at someone like Cunha, who you'd say is another 10, he went for 62.5, didn't he, to Manchester United. I'd say Cunha is a better player. Doesn't have the same kind of mental attributes as a Gibbs-White. And I think, Gibbs-White would fit better into a dressing room than Cunha. But if you're looking on pure football ability, I'd say Cunha is better. So if Cunha is the benchmark and you're a few million behind, you're probably in the right ballpark.
Okay. And in terms of Forest themselves, you've sold now Elanga, you're selling Gibbs-White. Are you getting very worried about, last season, big European finish, and you were hoping to kick on this summer, but was it a case of this was always likely to happen, or are you frustrated with the situation?
No, I didn't expect this to happen, if I'm being honest with you, from what I was hearing, from the fact that no players were pushing for moves. I thought we'd get rid of some of the fringe players and then bring some new players in. We've already brought 2 in over from Botafogo, Igor Jesus, the striker that scored against PSG in that Club World Cup. So he's done and confirmed, and we're about to have the centre-back Jair Cunha confirmed. I think we now, with the names we've just lost in terms of Elanga and Gibbs-White, I think at least my expectation is I want to see some decent-sized names coming in the other way. So am I frustrated yet? No. My stance is this: if you're getting rid of these players, then what replaces them needs to be on par or better. So if the replacements are not on par or better, then I will start to kind of shout my head off on videos and stuff. But I'll stay calm for now until I see what the plan is. If you look at yourselves, if you look at Arsenal this window, Arsenal fans losing their head when they're bringing in a Kepa first and then a Norgard and what have you, and then potentially now getting the Gyökeres deal done, etc. Spurs have been quiet for the first month of the transfer window, only really signing Tell and I think, was it a Japanese defender you brought in?
Kota Takai.
So, and then your window's kind of exploded into life in the last few days. So yes, as a fan, you get impatient, but as a club, I guess you like to hope they know what they're doing, and I think a few things will need to be explained after this week.
Is there an annoyance for you that he's chosen a club like Tottenham, who obviously we did finish 17th last season?
I hate your club.
So
I have. Well, let's just say I've had a lot of fights with my brother over the year. I remember when Andy Reid and Dawson went. It wasn't a pleasant time in my household there between me and my brother. There was a lot of friction. So Gibbs-White going to Spurs, I just kind of feel like it's a betrayal to me. If you're gonna go, like, go to a club with bigger ambition.
Don't forget
Spurs,
Brennan Johnson as well, who's now scored in the Europa
Brennan
League
Johnson.
final.
Look, it was what it was. It's like it had to happen because PSR. I can forgive that one. He didn't really push for a move on that one. I just thought Gibbs-White had higher standards.
He's coming to the Europa League champions. What do you want from him?
Also,
and do you reckon there will be a bit of like ill feeling towards Morgan Gibbs-White from the Nottingham Forest faithful, like you aside?
No,
none at all.
No, I don't. He's one that you would have thought, had you just been dropped, on planet Earth and just seen him for the first time, you'd have thought he was, born in the city ground. Like, he's been taken, we took to him like he is kind of one of our own, as the saying goes. He's given a lot of crap to the Wolves fans. His finger and ear celebration came with the Wolves lot and that. So it depends how he reacts to us. I think we'd be forgiving as long as he doesn't score against us. But if he does and starts putting that celebration, I don't know, towards the Trent end or something, then yeah, it could change a lot of opinions. But I think he goes with a lot of blessings for what he has done in the last few seasons for Forest. But from a personal point of view, going to Spurs is non-negotiable with me. So, because of my brother, so there will be a little bit of animosity from my end.
Yeah, is it also amongst the fan base? Is there a bit of a frustration that he's gone to Tottenham at a time where you should be pushing on away from us, right? You should be, you won Europe, we were 17th, you should be like trying to capitalise, and yet you've lost one of your better players to us.
Yeah, definitely on that front. My expectation, as I said, was lose a few of the fringe players, make some money off that, but build on the foundations that we worked so hard for last season. And now you look at this and you think, well, he got, I can't remember how many, he got seven goals, 8 assists last season. Elanga got 17 GA. So within 2 players, you're almost pushing towards 30 on GA. Forest have to replace that, and it's not easy to replace that. So that's where frustration comes in. You keep them and you build on that, then you're looking at a better foundation. And even if you get a new player in, we've been linked with the likes of Bakayoko, etc., they still come with their risks. Yes, they may potentially in the long term be better than an Elanga or whoever they're replacing, but they're still an unknown. Whereas these players were settled in, each of them had been there at least a couple of seasons. So you never know. Any player coming in, doesn't matter who they are, you never know how they're going to slot in as well. I'm sure you guys have experienced it plenty of times at Spurs as well. So there's always that element of risk. And I think by keeping your players, it's better the devil you know sometimes.
How much of a level raiser and an expectation increaser do you think this and Kudus is for Spurs?
I would be more excited about Kudus, if I'm honest with you guys. I know he had a bit of a stinker last season, but the raw quality of that player, a fresh challenge at Spurs, going out of a terrible club like West Ham, I think will do him the world of good, and I think he'll be able to kind of express himself and have more opportunities to really flourish at Spurs. I don't know about Morgan Gibbs-White, if I'm being honest with you, how he fits in. He's either going to be a massive hit or a bust. That's what I'm not sure. Are you going to utilize him as a almost guaranteed starter, or is he going to be a squad rotator? And who's he going to rotate with? Is it going to be that 10 position, or is he going to be with someone in the 8 position? I think that's the first thing you have to figure out.
Maybe
with
both.
him. Exactly, it could be both. And then does he turn into a utility man? So I still think there's a few question marks for me. If I was advising you guys, play him in the 8 and you won't go wrong. If you play him in the 10, I don't know.
Interesting. Wow. Wolfie, always a pleasure, my friend, especially
anytime, boys.
Like
Sorry, it's so short. But,
no worries.
My
Appreciate you
WhatsApp's
coming
been
on.
going off the hook with everyone.
Yeah, I bet. Everyone wants a piece. Everyone wants a piece.
You got to face your brother at some point.
Yeah, well, I get to avoid him for another hour because I'm going live at 6:30. So I'll speak to him after that. Yeah.
Enjoy
Brilliant.
it. We'll go and subscribe.
Good to catch up with you boys. All the best, and
100%.
all these lot, make sure they're liking and subscribing.
Yeah, and go and hit that subscribe button on Forest Fan TV. I'm sure some great content about to come up very, very soon.
I'll have some choice words for Spurs. Don't worry.
Cheers for coming on, mate.